The driver is the most powerful club in everyone's golf bag and one of the most powerful assets to any great golfer's complete game, but many amateur golfers struggle with the driver. Today I'm going to be talking about 3 of the main mistakes, the biggest mistakes that most golfers make with driver in hand. Hey everybody, I'm George Connelly with Scratch Golf Tips, and today we're talking about the driver. This is something that helps so many people and hurts so many people as well. If you can keep the ball in the fairway off the tee, if you can get the ball down there a long ways, you're just putting yourself in the best position. Whereas if you're slicing the ball, hooking the ball, not hitting the ball far enough, you just seem like golf is against you right from the get-go. So now let's dive into 3 things that so many golfers do incorrectly that we can address and fix quickly in order to make driving a real asset to our game. Firstly, let's talk about address. One of the most common errors that a lot of golfers will have is they will keep that ball in the center of their stance when they address the golf ball. This is a very common mistake because when you think about most other clubs you hit in the bag, a lot of your irons, wedges, when you chip the ball is somewhere in the center of the stance. Even some people will hit hybrids from somewhere near the center of the stance. Now, when you step up to a driver, you just can't do it, because if you're gonna come down on the ball, which you inevitably will when the ball's in the center of the stance, the driver isn't made to come down onto a ball. Irons are. They're more lofted, they have grooves in them, they can control spin much better than a driver can. But when you come down with a driver in the middle of the stance, your club face hasn't released yet, so you're going to have an open club face with a huge club face, meaning there's more surface area for the ball to spin off of. You have an open club face, you have a lot of club area, you have a driver, it's almost inevitable that you're going to slice the ball. If my right hand is the club face and this is the ball, if it comes off the club face with an open face, the ball is going to spend some time on it rotating to the right, so that when it leaves the club face, that ball is going to go dramatically left to right. So how do we offset this? The best way to offset this is by putting the ball in the front of your stance. Most people will specify a general rule of having the ball on the inside of your left heel, for a right-handed golfer that is, your front heel. Have the ball off the inside of the front heel. That's going to allow your club to bottom out and then have an upward angle of attack on the ball, and hopefully you can pretty perfectly control that club face so it's somewhat square at impact. So when striking the ball with driver off the front heel, you're going to have a lot going for you. You're going to have hopefully a fairly square club face if you have a good control of your release. You're going to have that ball spend less time on the club face, which gives it less time to spin, and you're also going to optimize your launch angle. You're going to hit the ball a little bit higher, and with driver, higher is generally better to a certain extent. Now, the great thing about changing something like the ball position is it's a very simple fix. You don't have to change the way that you're swinging the golf club. It might feel a little bit awkward pushing that ball a little bit forward in the golf swing, but it's a simple fix that you can get comfortable with just a few hours spent on the range. Now, as I mentioned earlier, one of the reasons that the ball is often placed in the center of the stance is because that's what we're used to with irons. And now this next mistake that many amateurs make is coming from the same genesis. It's that many golfers will have their weight fairly forward on that front foot and keep their shoulder line and their spine angle fairly neutral, or even a little bit forward like you would with a wedge. This is the exact opposite of what you want to be doing with the driver in hand, because once again, the driver is the only club that you want to swing up on. So why would you have your weight forward, your spine angle downward, if you want to swing up on the ball? It's very counterintuitive. So what we want to be doing is just have a very slight upward angle with these shoulders. They shouldn't be pointing to the sky, but if this is neutral, you want to have it pointed a little bit upward. Feel that spine angle, continue to be in good posture. You don't want to be doing this. Continue to be in good straight posture, just shift it at the hips a little bit, and then that is going to very easily promote that upward angle of attack. So if you're a slicer of the golf ball, which is normally accentuated with the driver, those 2 tips can be really beneficial to you if you find yourself with that ball a little bit too far back in your stance and a neutral, even slightly downward pointed shoulder angle. Those are 2 things we can do without reinventing the wheel, without changing all of our swing mechanics, that can really help you start striping that driver better. Even those people who don't have a slice and maybe aren't getting the distance or the desired trajectory, maybe even you're hitting a little bit of a hook, those 2 things can absolutely help work away from that, and you'll see more consistent striking as well as a little bit more distance with the big stick. And the final mistake that many golfers make with their driver is they're quite simply swinging the wrong golf club. Some golfers will have a hand-me-down driver from 10 years ago, some will get the first one that they see off the rack, but it's always very particular, especially with driver, driver where the club speed is really accentuated, where you might have a long swing, you might have a short swing. There are a lot of things you can adjust with the driver. So I'm not saying go out and buy the next $700 driver from one of these major OEMs that seem to release a new driver every year. I'm saying you can do specific things to a driver to make it more tailored to your game and your swing. One thing that you can do that personally helped me out a lot was I changed the shaft flex of my driver. So I've had the Callaway XR16 driver for a while, and I found that as I grew a little bit stronger and as I grew physically, I was slicing the ball more. Now my mechanics were remaining the same, so I thought that it may have had something to do with the club. The main issue that I had was I had a regular flex club and I was swinging it fairly fast, so there was too much lag that I couldn't control. I switched from the Fujikura 565 speeder, which was a regular flex, into a shaft that was more stiff, so the club face and the club head wouldn't lag behind my hands even while I was swinging it a little bit faster, which made that club face much more easy for me to control personally. Now I understand that getting a new driver or getting a new shaft in your driver may be a little bit non-cost effective. I understand that. There are also some other things that we can do, such as change the loft of a driver. Some drivers have weights in them. Most of these new drivers that have come out, TaylorMade has done it for probably 6 or 7 years. They have those adjustable weights in the driver, which certainly can help people. There are other people that think that they're helping and they don't really do it. But playing around with those weights a little bit and playing with the loft that your club sits at, if your club has those customization options, that's absolutely something to look at. Because if you just fiddle around with it a little bit, if you have one of those screwdrivers, I actually have a video on the YouTube channel on how to change the loft of your driver that you can watch if you're curious. Not all drivers can do it. Not all drivers have those customization levels, but if yours can do it, it's certainly worth exploring to have that driver be as catered to your game and your swing as possible. I'd love to hear your thoughts on what I brought up in this video today, and if you have any other suggestions on how someone can improve their game with the driver in hand, maybe some comments on other mistakes that many golfers that you see and play with every day make, I'd love to hear those down in the comment section below. It also helps me see what kind of content you are all enjoying so that I can cater future uploads to what you guys want to see. Thank you all very much for watching, play well, and take care.